Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast. My name is Steve Smith, and I'm your host, and this is episode number 109. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a brand new version of Walking the Fairways, the news segment on the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast. And as you've heard, I've got a fantastic new partnership, and that is with none other than Dint Golf Solutions in Australia here. And I welcome, jumping on here to talk about this new partnership, is co-owner Adam Dinty. G'day, Adam. How are you, mate?
Hi, Steve. I'm good. How are you?
Mate, thanks so much for this wonderful new partnership we've got going. And this is a bit of an introduction to the audience about who you guys are, because you guys have been around for nearly 100 years, as I know, since 1930, a family Australian-owned company, mate. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, that's right, Steve. So we're fourth generation Australian business. It was a foundry that was started by my great-grandfather in 1930. And now me and my brother, Jonathan, own the business, and we're fourth generation and going very strong.
Mate, incredible stuff. This is the things that I love to hear about, and on an Australian-based podcast, talk about Australian golf and a partnership with an Australian company and you guys, mate. I've known you guys for a lot of my greenkeeping career. We've known each other for around 20-odd years, mate, and here we are working.
I met you at Katoomba. I remember meeting you at Katoomba.
That's right. Here we are working again in a different form, mate. Now, one of the things that I just quickly mentioned there, and this is an introduction, your name is Adam Dinty, and I've known this for a long time. I was never sure why the Dint company doesn't have the E. Mate, there's a little story to this.
Yes, there is, mate. So when we first got into the golf industry with my father and uncle, it would have been in the early 90s, late 80s. They came out with a golf putting cup, which we made in our foundry, and a golf putter. And when they made the putter, they couldn't fit 5 letters, D-I-N-T-E, onto the face of the putter. So they had to take the E off. And that's how we became Dint Golf as opposed to Dinty. So the last name's Dinty.
Right.
The company from that became Dint Golf.
There you go, mate. I always saw the E and I was like, is it a silent E when you pronounce your name? And I didn't.
I get it all the time, mate.
Now, you guys supply so much golf course equipment and tines into turf renovation equipment and that sort of stuff. So we know course furniture, we know signage, we know equipment, rakes and that sort of stuff.
Definitely the last 7 or 8 years, Jonathan and myself, we've really ramped up the business, increased our product range, increased our company profile. Basically, we're getting a lot more products from around the world and source products that we can bring back to Australia. And because of our name and our reputation, we get a lot of international businesses from courses all over Asia, Middle East. Just last year, we supplied to Doha Golf Club in Qatar. So it's just,
wow.
It's incredible. Just, the reach of it, but our product range as well. And again, with our tines, we're exclusive suppliers for a German company called KBV Efforts, who are out of Hamburg. And Jonathan and myself went last year and spent a week with them in their factory, seeing how they make the tines. But they make an incredible tine where it's tapered, Connie spoon tapered tine, which causes less disruption when coming in and out when they're just solid tining, and they also just created a long life tiny tine. So the tines have been really popular.
Fantastic, mate. Well, that's good to know at this time of the year because there's lots of people preparing, getting ready for renovation time, and even if you might be past it, it's good to be ready and know that Dint Golf Solutions can supply you with those sorts of materials and equipment for the springtime that's coming in later in the year and just being prepared anyway, mate. So make sure you check out dint.com.au. That's Dint, dint.com.au. Adam Dinty, welcome to Dint Golf Solutions, to both yourself and your brother, owners of the company, to the partnership that we have with the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast, mate. I'm really excited about this moving forward.
Thanks, Steve, and thanks for all the good work you're doing, and we're really happy to support you and team up and look forward to a long partnership.
Wonderful, mate, and this is us supporting the industry. Fantastic to work together. The Golfing Greenkeeper podcast also welcomes another new partnership to Walking the Fairways, and that is a welcome back to a company that I've worked with in the past, and also another family-owned Australian company, and this one is Colin Campbell Chemicals. Now, if you've listened to episodes in the past of the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast, I'm sure you recall my many chats with Nadeem Zrykat, who is one of the owners of the company, who I've known since the beginning of my career way back as an apprentice greenkeeper. Colin Campbell Chemicals is a 100% Australian-owned company that's been going for 85 years strong. They offer a wide range of plant protection products to help keep your turf safe. Nadeem and Colin Campbell Chemicals are also big on educating the industry, and one of the things that they do, along with our partnership here on the Golf and Greenkeeper podcast, is they have their own podcast called Behind the Turf. Go and check it out. It's available on all the major platforms, Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud, Podbean and Audible, just to name a few, ladies and gentlemen. And also make sure you check out their website for all their plant protection products and Behind the Turf podcast as well at campbellchemicals.com.au. Now, we start off with the news on Walking the Fairways, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go straight to the Sunshine State of Queensland, and we have to start with the fact that our thoughts are with everyone in far north Queensland, especially around Townsville, that they're dealing with the aftermath of the devastating floods that were up there in early February. An insane amount of rainfall was coming down in those regions, flooded the golf courses in and around the Townsville city itself and surrounding areas. There was lots of flood waters, lots of devastation, and it was pretty intense to the local community and certainly further areas outside that of Townsville itself. So, look, we wish everyone, I hope everyone has sort of gone through the worst of it up there, and certainly our thoughts are with everyone and everything that they've been through in and around Townsville. Certainly devastating to hear somewhere else in Australia has been dealing with flood waters, and a very difficult time, certainly on the back of the Christmas New Year, and you go straight into something like this. And look, it's tough in Queensland and certainly in the northern parts of Australia, around the Northern Territory and the northwest of WA, because it is cyclone season as well. Lots of cyclones have been floating around. We just hope that there's nothing too serious and too damaging that is absolutely catastrophic. But these floods at Townsville were devastating for the local area. Now we move to the Gold Coast, where the Australian WPGA Championship, which is kicking off there just this week, and it starts today on Monday the 3rd of March, and the championship event itself will kick off on Thursday the 6th. Now, it's part of the broader Gold Coast Festival of Golf, which is happening and based at Sanctuary Cove Golf and Country Club. Wonderful 36-hole facility, the Pines Golf Course and the Palms Golf Course. The Australian WPGA Championship is happening at the Palms. The newly finished redesigned version of the Palms that has been done by the architecture work on the site has been done by Craft and Mogford, so Neil Crafter and Paul Mogford of Craft and Mogford Golf Strategies, and looks like fantastic work. A lot of the green complexes have been redeveloped, bunkering has been improved, drainage and so on and the like. So we're seeing a new updated version of the Palms Golf Course there up at Sanctuary Cove, and the 36-hole facility. The entire facility at Sanctuary Cove is just a fantastic destination on the Gold Coast, and certainly one that's very well regarded in that region. And here we are with the Australian WPGA Championship there, and this is a brand new event that's been brought to Sanctuary Cove, and it's a brand new event there, and it's going to form part of the Ladies European Tour as well. And the winner of the event will be awarded the inaugural Carrie Webb Cup. And we know Carrie Webb is a Queenslander, so that's wonderful to hear that that's a cup that they're playing for up there in the Australian WPGA Championship. And this fantastic women's event. So we're really looking forward to see some great competition in the tournament up there, and really exciting stuff. So I look forward to seeing this one unfold. Lots of things to see on the ground in the new version of the Palm. So it's going to look fantastic on television. It's going to be great. If you're up there, get over there and have a look. Tickets are for sale, and I'm sure it will be a fantastic event. This is a great concept, the Festival of Golf overall, to have at Sanctuary Cove, based around this Australian WPGA Championship for the women's tournament. There's lots of fantastic activities and activations there involved over the week. I know it's a festival of golf, but there's a big push for women's golf up there as well in this event. That's obviously why it's centered around the WPGA Championship. So lots of good things. If you do go to this event, I won't be up there, unfortunately, just missed it. But if you do go to this event, I'd love to hear some feedback and hear what it's all about. Certainly from women going to the event, but also guys going there to see what it's all about. You might be going there together as a couple and whatnot. So families, kids, I look forward to hearing all about this. And a message to Superintendent Cameron Smith, who's not long been on the ground as superintendent over there at Sanctuary Cove. Good luck to Cam and his team that on the ground preparing for this tournament. Some wonderful pictures already coming out about the golf courses there, particular, like I mentioned, the Palms. So congratulations to everyone involved on course, led by Superintendent Cameron Smith. Now, you may have seen on social media, and I just mentioned that I missed out because I'm back at home now. I'm missing out on the Australian WPGA Championship there at Sanctuary Cove. But I was recently at the Gold Coast doing some work up there, and along with my trip interstate to South Australia, to Adelaide. But while I was there, I got a chance to go up and see Lakelands and play Lakelands Golf Club. And Lakelands is a fantastic golf course. I'm a big fan. It's one of two Jack Nicklaus designed golf courses in Australia, the other one being down at Heritage Golf Club in Melbourne, or just out in the northeastern outskirts of Melbourne. Lakelands is a fantastic golf course. It's a very much a resort style course. It fits in with the feel and style of a lot of the golf courses around the Gold Coast. It's a resorty destination for golf, is the Gold Coast. And it's been a long time, about 9 years since I played there. And while I was there, got to catch up with Superintendent Richard Flesser, and he's done a fantastic job with his team, growing in their new second green that I've mentioned before on Walking the Fairways. And I can vouch for this. As I've played it, I finally got to go there and play it, and I played the brand new green there a couple of weeks ago, and it had only been opened not long before we got a chance to play it. And look, it was a fantastic, improved green surface. A little bit of time for it to mature, but it was really exciting to go there and play it and get a good feel for the golf course again at Lakelands. It's looking bloody fantastic, and it was a pleasure to play there. And like I mentioned, chatting to Richard, the Superintendent, Richard Flesser, in person, I got to say good day, and it was great to meet you, Richard. I know you do listen to the podcast from time to time, mate, so a shout out to you and to your team there on course. And I really got an insight from Richard into not only the golf course at Lakelands, but also Richard's got an extensive greenkeeping history in working on many golf courses and just understanding, being around the golf greenkeeping landscape through the 90s and early 2000s of the Gold Coast. So lots of golf courses were built in the early 90s, and Richard's got great insight into how the construction happened and occurred in a lot of the golf courses. And it was really great to chat about that stuff of years gone by, because I don't know it. I know the golf courses that are there now, but to hear how some of them got to be and the construction that was involved and all that sort of stuff, it was really interesting. So thank you, Richard. I really enjoyed my time at Lakelands. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're up there, I will say I will recommend to you that you go and play Lakelands. Really enjoyable, along with the, I think it's the 14th. I might be mistaken. It might be the 14th. There's a fantastic signature little par 3 there, which I just loved it. It's actually, I put a video on my socials about it just in case you're wondering. You can go and have a look-see. Other bit of news, ladies and gentlemen, that we have heard recently that's come out in Queensland are the new dates that have just been announced for the Men's Australian PGA Championship, which is held at Royal Queensland. And this year, the dates that have been announced, it will be held from the 27th to the 30th of November. So there you go, into just before summertime kicks off. At the end of November, we will have the Men's PGA Championship at RQ. Once again, the dates are finalised, so put that in your calendar and your schedule if you're looking to head up there. Now we head down to New South Wales, and we've got a bit of news. There's a few things popping up around New South Wales. I wanted to be able to bring to you an update of what's going on with the Moore Park Golf Course, the fantastic historical public space, and the first public golf course in Australia as it was the Moore Park Golf Course. So I've got on the line Jared Kendler, board member of the Moore Park Golf Club and lead spokesperson from the Moore Park Golf Course Collective. Is that right, Jared?
Yeah, the Save Moore Park Collective. That'll
That's
do.
It. Yeah, that's it, mate. Thank you for joining me, mate. I really appreciate your time. Now, a bit of an update. I had you on, it was nearly a year ago, April last year, we come to the whole thing about after the state government's announcement with the mayor of the city of Sydney and saying that they were going to cut Moore Park down to 9 holes. And then there was this push from within the club, yourself and the club itself and the local community about saving Moore Park as 18 holes for the community space that it is. And with this, I suppose, push from the government to cut it down to 9 holes. And then we saw last year, in around November, I think it was, that that the group come up with an alternate plan to the government's cut down to 9 holes. Can you give us an update on how things are going? We've had a little bit in news articles and on news channels and things that I've seen yourself on. Can you give us a bit of a rough update on where things are at and how the state of play is?
For sure, and I guess thanks for providing that context there. And since we last spoke, one of the things that we've said sort of from the start is that when there is increased demand for both better recreational and improved golf facilities that deliver better community outcomes, you need to be both creative and visionary. And I guess that's sort of been our approach from the start, which is let's not take a sledgehammer to a problem that requires a scalpel.
Yep.
And what we developed in conjunction with Golf Australia, Golf New South Wales, the PGA of Australia, and many of our leading golf architects and sports recreational engineers is an alternate proposal that shows that everyone in the community can have a win, that there can be a win for the government, a win for the local council in getting their desired additional recreational, non-golf recreational space, but also more importantly a win for the community and a win for golfers by maintaining 18 holes of golf at Moore Park to cater to the increasing demands that the community has for more golf. And so our alternate proposal that we developed throws in a whole bunch of additional recreational facilities into the site while making adjustments to the golf course to enable it. So we've got in our proposal 3 kilometres of running, walking and cycling paths. We've got adventure and nature playgrounds, skate park, BMX pump track, a dog park, all made possible by reducing the 18-hole golf course by 7.5 hectares. So relatively minor changes to, let's call it, 6 greens and a couple tee boxes to free up the best parts of the precinct for those other forms of recreation. Yep. And at the same time, we enhance the golf offering, not just making a better, more efficient 18-hole golf course, but adding in a world-class mini golf and adding to the already very popular driving range to add some capacity there.
There's a lot in that, and it's great to hear that you've got all those parties involved. This isn't just from within Moore Park. Like you mentioned, the PGA, Golf Australia, WPGA. There's so many different groups involved with making this something special, getting insight from all these different areas, people, the knowledge base that comes from within that. You've also mentioned the architects in there as well, from the Australian Golf Course Architects as well, and that I'm zooming out, I guess, and I'm thinking about the places that I've been to and visited that are around, and I think of the Sandy Links of the world down in Melbourne that was redeveloped and become a much shorter version than what it once was. But it is a really cool and interesting golf course. So when you reconfigure something and you're redesigning something with an 18-hole layout, there's the ability to make it something better as well in the process of adding all these other facilities, like you say, for non-golf in the process. It's not just. It sounds like it's a well thought out exercise, and maybe I'm definitely on the side of retaining 18 holes of golf at Moore Park. It seems counterintuitive as we consider the state government's I suppose version of cutting it down to 9 holes only and leaving the rest open space, because golf is more popular than it's ever been in its history in this country, and by taking away 9 holes, you're reducing the capacity for people to play golf. You're reducing the amount of available tee times for people to play golf. So retaining 18 holes is important from that perspective as well, isn't it?
It's extremely important because our modelling has shown, and we've demonstrated to the government, that if you take away 9 holes, you actually reduce the capacity for golf at Moore Park by 60%.
Oh wow! Wow!
It's really simple, and we all know this by the non-golfers who've made these decisions. You hear the clever more, they can just go around twice, but that completely ignores the fact that every day you have golfers filter out on both 9s at the same time.
Yeah,
that's how you get the capacity. So, there is no way of getting around the fact that if you reduce the number of holes, less people get to play.
Yep.
Now, one of the things that also, has been a key for us in developing our plan was a recognition too that yes, Moore Park is already one of the busiest golf courses in the Southern Hemisphere. It is already full all the time. Moore Park actually also needs to be more efficient. It needs to be able to take even more people. And part of how you can do that is also through smart design. Through smart design, we need and changes to get rid of bottlenecks. You need to have a safer and more efficient course as well, so we can have even more people playing it. Because, as you mentioned, golf's never been more popular. 3.8 million Australians played some form of golf last year. That's a 9% year-on-year increase on, and 20-30% increase on, only a couple of years prior. Almost 20% of all adult Australians hit a golf ball in 2024. So we need to be able to accommodate what is the most played and all the demand for the most played sport in the country right now.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you need to recognize, and we all need to, as a golf community, recognize that there are these other demands, particularly in Sydney, a lot of competing demands on space. But I guess when we look at Moore Park, it really should be the almost template for what inner city metro golf is around the world. You can have a really integrated golf offering with all these other activities, but that also will help to serve the interest in golf. If you've got a BMX pump track that's being used by a bunch of young kids they're looking 100 meters away and seeing all these people play golf, a whole bunch of those kids are going to be interested in that sport too and want to gravitate towards it. Just as putting in mini golf as a starting point into the sport provides this nice pathway from mini golf into the driving range to eventually people wanting to play on a course.
And we've seen that from other facilities in that progression. I look at Wembley over in Perth, for example, and I know that they've got an incredible mini golf facility and driving range facility and golf course, and it's 36 holes. It's bigger and bigger. There's some wonderful parts in this country that do it so well, and here we are talking about the very first public golf course in Australia being taken backwards by I go back to the state government with this almost harebrained concept to cut something away that's so popular and highly sought after, I might add, in Sydney.
Yeah, and it's amazing, I guess, if you look at the last couple of weeks and off the back of this success of LIV in Adelaide and particularly for the South Australian government and the economy, the compare and contrast between the Premier of New South Wales approach, which I think is pretty anti-golf right now, and the Premier of South Australia, who off the back of LIV not only announced a commitment to that tournament, but the most important fact or the most important announcement he made in my mind was that the government there are going to be, alongside the Adelaide City Council, investing in a redesign of their Moore Park equivalent in North Adelaide course.
Yep. I mean,
one of the key things that he said in that statement was around some of the same things we've been saying. We need to have these important public golf courses because it is such a popular sport. It's such a popular sport, particularly amongst kids as well. And we needed, what better way to get kids off phones and outdoors and interacting with each other than on a golf course?
Oh, look, Peter Malinowskis, I was there for LIV. I was there on the Sunday for LIV in Adelaide. And Peter Malinowskis is incredibly supportive of that event. He made that event what it is today down there in Adelaide. And one of his taglines in the announcement to extend and get the contract extended for LIV to stay in Adelaide, and then the idea of potentially redeveloping North Adelaide public golf course to host the event once it's finished at the Grange, is that it was about kids being able to play where their heroes play and taking the event in from the next step of being held on a private golf course, which is one of the best in the country, and going to a redeveloped public golf course to lift the game of that facility or the quality of that facility to a tournament professional standard quality where kids can access the golf course that their heroes are playing on. That is an incredible concept that we've never really seen or heard of in this country to that level. And I think of Steph Kyriakou, for example, fantastic female golfer that we've got in this country, who I think her career began, I believe, at Moore Park as a junior, where she started playing golf. I mean, these are the things that we will be taking away, and to see what Adelaide is doing and doubling down, I guess, in a way from what LIV has become to then exploding it into the public realm of golf. Moore Park has an opportunity to do that from within Sydney. I go back to the history of, and I always say that it's the very first concept of public golf that was offered in this country, and it began here in Sydney. It was the Moore Park Golf Course. And the City of Sydney as a council decided to go with the concept of creating a space for people to engage in a sport that would improve their lifestyle and improve their health, giving the opportunity for the public and for the blue-collar worker to access the sport of golf. And that was how it began.
Yeah, and to that point, that's one of the key things that if you read our alternate proposal that's now public, one of the key things that we've tried to impress on the government is Moore Park Golf Course delivers not only a lot of direct revenue that helps support and pay for the upkeep of the broader Centennial Parklands. Over 50% of the operational budget of all those parklands is funded. So all those other community sports, the soccer fields, the AFL fields, that grass gets cut because of the revenue that the golf course makes.
Wow.
But it's also a lot of the indirect. And so there's almost an equal amount of economic, social, health and well-being outcomes that are delivered from the space, which total about $15 million as well.
Yeah, wow.
And so the reality of this situation is this is not about facts or logic. It never has been. We've just got to continue to put enough of those facts, logic and vision out there so that the community can continue to see what is actually possible, and we don't fall into the trap of making policy decisions based off small thinking politics and backroom deals. Yep. And the community already recognises this. The government did a community survey and invited the community to put submissions in. That was in April of last year, around when we were having this last conversation. In December, they released the What We Heard report from all of those community consultations and the survey responses, and they had almost 9,000 survey responses, which is for a topic like this is a huge number of responses. 84% of those responses put that the primary thing they want at Moore Park is a golf course. 55% of respondents wrote into the survey, they weren't even given the option, they wrote in that they wanted an 18-hole golf course was the primary thing they wanted at Moore Park South. Only 7% of responses opposed a presence of golf at Moore Park. Now, then there was written in submissions as well. I think 315 written submissions. There was about 50 that were supportive of the government's proposal, and that was really, City of Sydney and all of Clover's related mates. The remainder, 250 responses, were highly supportive of keeping an 18-hole golf course of the written submissions. So the community wants this. You've got Wallara Council and Randwick Council, two of the bordering councils on the other side of the course, both passed motions last year to support keeping 18 holes at Moore Park.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yep. And both put in submissions to the government saying as such. I think Waverley Council, I'm confident will be putting something out soon that will be also supportive of keeping 18 holes, because that's what the community wants.
Yep.
Now, this is kind of, we're preaching to the converted probably,
of course,
on this podcast. But when I worked in government, there was a bit of a focus on wanting to respond to what the community actually wants. So I guess that's what gives us a confidence that we're onto something here that, besides it's take the usage away, which is, like we've said, it's highly used already. That speaks for itself.
Yep.
But the broader community who live around this course want to keep it as an 18-hole golf course.
Very impressive on all those fronts in the surveys, because I hadn't quite seen a lot of those details. I'd seen some in the news, but when you mention the majority on all those fronts supporting a golf course.
The government did when they don't get the answer they want, you don't usually sit on something for 6 months unless if it helps to reinforce your own story.
Wait till the wave of emotion passes, and then we'll drop them out there in the back corner of the page.
Wait till just before Christmas to put it out there. Hope no one notices.
That's right. One of the things that I have noticed recently in some of the news about the project, and you might be able to speak a little bit further into this, and I'm not sure, is I've read some information that suggests for the government to cut down 9 holes of golf and turn that into a public outdoor recreation walking space, whatever it needs to be in their version, it's going to cost them a significant amount of cash. I was reading some headlines are saying like $200 million. I don't know how close that is, but is that a thing? Like, have they not taken into account the expense of converting in this process?
No, because they made an announcement before they'd done the analysis, and I guess one of the benefits of having someone like maybe myself involved in driving this campaign, I used to be the head of major precincts in New South Wales government, so I kind of know how to do a lot of this, all the work that anyone in government would need to do to make these assessments.
Yep.
The challenge that that a government person would have in implementing this vision of the Premier in Clovermore is that you've got a existing facility that would have a really strong and positive cost-benefit ratio. It costs the government next to nothing and produces a whole bunch of, like I mentioned before, direct revenue.
Yep.
And all the indirect.
Yep.
So this, in my mind, and from my analysis, would be one of the best performing government assets in the state. So in order to do something that as accretive to the community as the existing golf course, it needs to be one hell of a park.
Yeah.
Right?
Said.
And that's the challenge. Now, they could make a decision that the governments can go, fine, they just want to push ahead and do things because, like I mentioned before, politics and idiocracy or whatever. But the reality is, if you want to make a park that is as produces as much or as equal economic benefit, the $200 to $250 million is actually conservative.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because the current site is actually landlocked by 3 of the busiest roads in Sydney. Yep. You can't. The people that this park is supposedly for is located, 800 meters to 2 kilometers away. Those people would have to cross a number of extremely busy roads. It's not a safe walk to get there. Once you come in from the west, you have to cross the Dacey Avenue, Eastern Distributor, and South Dowling Street for those who are in Sydney. The costs I'm talking about, that's even before you would have to put some kind of crossing bridge over into the site just to get to people in there safely.
Yep.
And these things have all been called out by the government's own discussion paper called out some of these facts. But it's not an accessible site to get the number of people in there to make any investment in it worthwhile that would destroy the value that the golf course currently creates.
Yeah, wow. Very interesting.
And so that's kind of, it's good that some of the media and the community are starting to focus on some of these issues because, at a time when in New South Wales we've got this week, we've got nurses that are contemplating strikes, we've got rail workers contemplating strikes. There's lots of competing, ways for the government to spend money. We would argue that spending $250 million on a vanity project for Clovermore is not the best use of the state's funds, particularly when you've got 300 hectares of recreational space within 2 kilometres of the golf course already. So
yeah, that's right. But
add your little 20.
Yeah, and the detail, the detail in that is that for anyone that's not sure, and I think I've done this before in one of my previous podcasts, is the detail is that a lot of that Centennial Parkland space is technically in another council or 2 other council areas, so it doesn't count for Clover Moore's green space in the City of Sydney Council region. But that's another little detail moment that we can talk about endlessly. But mate, it's interesting. I look at this with the other pressure that's recently been announced that Carnarvon Golf Course in Sydney is on the I suppose on the, I won't say the chopping block, but they're talking about whether some of that golf course may be resumed to make way for an extension of the cemetery. I think it's Rookwood that's nearby, neighbouring. So we've got another public access golf course, and Camaray, which has already been cut down in half by the roadworks on the Warringah Freeway from the Western Harbour Tunnel that's being done. And it's been cut down to make it a par 3 golf course. And Camaray is one of the oldest golf courses in Sydney. I think it began in 1906.
Well, and the North Sydney Council has also got a proposal out there that would get rid of all of Camaray Golf Course.
Yeah, that's right. That's one of the things, is that it will disappear. It could disappear forever, and remove that offering from North Sydney. And I played it only a few weeks ago, and it's a fantastic renovated golf course. And Richard Chamberlain did the redesign, and it's really engaging for a much shortened version of the golf course, but it's really engaging for 9 holes, which is what renovated golf courses and reimagined golf courses have the ability to do. So very interesting. Lots of pressure around. Mate, where's the state of play? What's the next move of where things are at? And can you tell us, is there anything else that we can continue to do to help and support your work and the work that's being done here and put forward from this group of part of the Save More Park group?
Yeah, so look, from our perspective, we're continuing to sort of engage as best we can with the government to get as many people at the sort of political and sort of public servant level across our proposal. We think it's a great plan for what Moore Park could be. It gets them 15 hectares of non-golf recreational space, so not quite their 20, but 15 is pretty close. It gets you a better, more efficient golf course, and like I said before, recreational facilities in the right areas.
Yep.
What we need from people, though, and all the golf community and the non-golf community, is to go to savemoreparkgolfcourse.com.au. On there, you will find all the information about our alternate proposal. You will also see links to our petition. If you haven't signed it already, we're sitting just shy of 30,000 people. Wow. So I encourage everyone to get on there and sign the petition if you haven't already. But it's about, what we need from people is to understand what is possible there and continue to have conversations with anyone in their life, their family, their friends, their local politicians, to any folks they know in the media, whoever, to really start talking about some of these key facts. And that starts with at a high level. Golf has never been more popular. It is only continuing to grow. We need to make sure that for the health of not just the sport, but the health of the community, we need to have and provide access to good public golf courses that are closely located to where people are. And that there is a better way to think about how golf courses can work and integrate into the community, so that it's not we move away from this fences up, us and them. It's actually it's going to benefit all the golf community, but all of the sport and rec community if you have more integrated facilities that work in harmony together and work and integrate into their local communities, because the reality is golf courses are one of the few last places that become the melting pots of our communities, and we need to maintain them, not just from a sporting standpoint, but from a health and wellbeing standpoint. And so, I'd encourage everyone to go onto savemoreparkgolfcourse.com.au, check out our plans, fill out the petition if you haven't already, and have as many conversations as you can with people you know.
Fantastic, mate, and I'll have those clickables in the show notes for people to go and engage with, which is what we need, the help and support. Mate, one final question, and I don't know, but I've had a lot of people, apart from asking me, where's the state of play with the Moore Park deal and how are things progressing, and hence why I've got you on. The other one is, and I don't know what you're going to say to this one, but the question that I've had is it too late? It almost seems like whenever we hear from the state government, it's a foregone conclusion. Is it too late? How does that sit?
No, in my opinion, nothing is too late. Governments say lots of things. Only a small percentage of things that governments talk about actually end up coming to fruition, because the reality is, until you look at the feasibility and the cost and how we're going to fund it, there's a long way to go. So again, we're encouraged by all the positive feedback that we're having in the discussions with people at different levels.
Yep.
There are still some that there's nothing that we could say or do that would change their mind. But
sure.
The more the community continues to show that this is what they want 18 holes at Moore Park, the more confident we continue to be.
There you go. So hope is not lost, certainly. So we can still continue to make sure that we do what we can whenever we can, and have those conversations and share it around to as many people, because the more people in the broader community that know about this and support the saving of 18 holes at Moore Park and continue to talk about it and get it out there, the more hope we have and the bigger the case we're building. Jared,
definitely.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast again. I really appreciate you jumping on, mate, for the second time and giving us an update on all things about Moore Park, and we wish you well in the future. And again, if there's anything, mate, we can do, please reach out. Happy to help wherever we can.
No, thanks for having me. I really appreciate the support.
Now, you probably heard and saw on social media that I was down, and you've heard my podcast episodes, the previous couple of episodes with Superintendent Terry Vogel and also the Women in Turf volunteers from the Women in Turf program, where I was down at the WebEx Players Series Murray River at the fantastic Cobram Barooga Golf Club. Now, I've got to say, congratulations again to Superintendent Terry Vogel and the entire team and the Women in Turf program volunteers for their excellent work down there. I've got to say a shout out to Chrissy, Vicky, Ella, Emma, Abby and Olivia. Fantastic women that I got to chat with in the early stages of their careers and experiencing tournament golf for the first time. So it was really great to interview with them. If you haven't heard it, go back a couple of episodes to my Women in Turf program, Keeper of the Greens, and you'll be able to hear a lot about, we just chat about their careers and what it's like working in and around the tournament of the WebEx Players Series Murray River. Now, the event at Cobram Barooga there was won by Blake Proverbs after the third playoff hole. So it was a fantastic finish to the event and another outstanding edge of seat experience at Cobram Barooga. They tend to turn it on down there at Cobram with this event every year, and this year was no different to the others. It was fantastic. So congratulations to everyone involved, and also everyone involved at the golf club and the volunteers, the members from the club as well. Now, I've got to say congratulations to Superintendent Aaron Fluke and his team at Castle Hill Country Club in Sydney's northwestern suburbs. They have just finished playing host to the WebEx Players Series Sydney, which was won by Nick Voke. And look, it was another sterling effort of producing a quality golf course for another WebEx Players Series event. Look, I'm a big fan of the WebEx, men and women playing together, competing for the same purse against each other. It's been a fantastic series this year, and Castle Hill and the Sydney event was the final one for the season. So congratulations to everyone, and Superintendent Aaron Fluke and everyone at Castle Hill Country Club for putting on a fantastic final event of the WebEx Players Series. Mollymook Golf Club, we go down the south coast, the Hilltop Golf Course, down south coast, a few hours down south of Sydney. And look, they've now finished construction of their 19th spare hole. The hole is entirely finished now. It's all completed. And this hole, like all spare holes, will be used by the club when they need to take a hole out of play for sort of more extensive work. And it makes life easier for the club to do larger, more complex jobs on other parts of the golf course without, say, the need if you're redoing a green or a number of greens in a bunker complex around the greens, for example, and you want to shut a green down. You don't have to go and cut a temporary hole in the fairway, which we often see if you don't have a spare hole. So they'll just throw the spare hole in the mix of the routing, and they'll close an individual hole down for some of these larger works. And look, it's a really good, useful thing to be able to have if you have the ability and you've got the room to do it. And Mollymook have finished off rebuilding their brand new spare hole, so you'll feel like you're not missing out on anything if they've when they start doing some bits and pieces around the golf course as is required. Plenty of news coming out of Sydney, and we've got the New South Wales Golf Club, the fantastic, historic, unbelievable New South Wales Golf Club that is located on the cliffs at La Perouse in the southern suburbs of Sydney. And look, just this weekend gone was the first time it was open for play to the membership, and we've seen a few photos coming out from different people, members and the like, and some industry bodies as well. And I've been sharing some of those on social media too. So if you've seen the redesign done from MacKenzie and Ebert architects from the UK, look, I'm incredibly impressed by what I've seen. It's exactly what I was hoping it was going to be. I've had some people say to me that it's going to be quite difficult in some of the work they've done, particularly with the bunkering, with the revetted bunker faces that they've got, which is stacked turf layers, which you often see from the UK. We don't have that so much here in Australia. It's a pretty detailed part of bunkering, and it requires quite a bit of care and maintenance. But what it does and what it offers visually is just astonishing, and I'm a big fan. Not saying it's easy to look after, but it's a wonderful detail that's been brought into New South Wales. And it's not just the bunkers that have changed. The green complexes have been altered and adjusted, and some of them made bigger in size and more intricate in detail. There's a beautiful stone wall that defines now the 18th fairway to the left and the practice fairway. That was sort of something as an interesting concept to bring in, and I think it's been done quite tastefully down the left-hand side of 18. I can't wait for the day when hopefully I get an opportunity to see it in person. But this is as good as I think most of us were hoping it was going to be, and it looks very, very impressive indeed. So congratulations to everyone involved in the build. Mark Parker, Superintendent there at New South Wales Golf Club, and the entire team that have been involved there in the build and grow in. It's fantastic and quite impressive indeed. Now, congratulations has got to go to Justin Sheehan, who is the new superintendent at Brighton Lakes Recreation and Golf Club in Sydney South. Justin was previously at Coffs Harbour Golf Club for some 17 years. And prior to that, I remember Justin from his days back in Mudgee Golf Club before Jason Size, who's the current superintendent, was there. I think I was like first or second year apprentice doing my time at Wentworth Falls Country Club, and I remember Justin out at Mudgee Golf Club. But Justin has made the move to Sydney and into Brighton Lakes down there in the south side of town, and so a great new appointment, and congratulations and well done to Justin. Blackheath Golf Club. Ladies and gentlemen, you may remember that about 12 or even probably more, 16 months ago, I'd done a short stint of on-site consulting job with Blackheath Golf Club, where I helped them through a very, very difficult time and got them back on track. Well, Blackheath Golf Club have just started rebuilding some of their areas on the golf course. They've got the team in to do construction work, and I'm soon to find out just to the extent of what they're up to at the moment. But the design work, it's new design work of the golf course that's being done. The design is being done by James Wiltshire, and Blackheath are getting stuck into some work up there. So they've got some big machinery happening on course. Interesting to see how this is going to go for them and some of the work that they're set to do. But new work being done up there and new machinery on site. And I'll be able to give you some more updated information as I find out to the extent of what they're doing up there at Blackheath Golf Club. But in the Blue Mountains to the west of Sydney, interesting and really exciting for the club moving forward that they're getting some new work done on course to improve their 18-hole layout. Now we head to the north coast of New South Wales, right up towards the Queensland border, and stage 1 of their course improvements master plan is being carried out at Ballina Golf and Sports Club on the north coast, as I mentioned. Now, the design work is being done by Craig Parry, and the new construction is being carried out by Paul Gumbleton. Now, this combo of Craig and Paul were behind the design and construction of Tevan Valley Golf Club. Now, Tevan is only about 15 minutes away, and I'm sure you've heard me talk about Tevan. I'm sure you've heard plenty of people talk about Tevan Golf Club up the North Coast. A fantastic 9-hole golf course. Now, Paul is a sensational individual, Paul Gumbleton, and he is extremely well respected in the greenkeeping industry. I remember chatting with Paul at Tevan when I played there, and he was really generous with his time, chatting about Tevan and what went on to create the new version of the golf course there at Tevan. So this combination of Craig and Paul are doing work as part of their new improvements master plan at Ballina Golf Club on the North Coast. Now we head to Victoria, ladies and gentlemen, and in Melbourne, Kruse Golf Club in Melbourne is getting through some serious work on course as part of their master plan done by Clayton Devries Pont and Kruse Golf working together on the project. And particularly on side is Harley Kruse from Kruse Golf and Mike Clayton and Lucas Michelle. Now, I'll find out a little bit more info about what's going on to the extent of the work that's going on there for hopefully for you in the next Walking the Fairways. But for now, I thought I'd make mention that there's a lot going on at Kruse for those of you who are familiar with the golf course at Kruse. I've not seen it, I don't know it, but I have spoken with Harley in the past and he mentioned to me about this work that's going on down there. So I've seen some images and videos and they're really cracking on with it. So I'll try and give you some more details soon about some of the new work that's happening there at Kruse Golf Club in Melbourne. Now, this partnership between CDP, Clayton Devries Pont, and Kruse Golf, they're also tied together in working with Woodlands Golf Club on Melbourne's Sandbelt, the fantastic underrated golf course that is Woodlands. I'm going to say it's underrated. I think it is, and I'm not really sure why. I think it's an incredibly fantastic golf course, and I've had a chance to go around there and have a look at the track, and I was really surprised by how good it was. Its bones are quite remarkable, and it's a really, really good golf course on the ground. Traditionally, they're smaller greens than many of the other Sandbelt golf courses, and maybe that's one of the reasons why it's often sort of set a little bit differently when it's viewed upon like the other golf courses. And obviously the trees around it, hence the name Woodlands, but it's a fantastic golf course. It is a real builder of a golf course, and I'm a big fan of it. Clayton Devries Pont and Kruse Golf are also working together there at Woodlands. Now, Riversdale Golf Club and Superintendent Barry Proctor, who you may recall was previously at Woodlands Golf Club a couple of years ago, well, they've been working on improving their golf course bunkers and the maintenance of them around the golf course entirely. So they're looking to lift the game of their bunker maintenance and their playability and how they're maintained to try and get a more consistent package with the way that they're played and how they're looked after and their consistency around the golf course. So one of the big things they're trying to do there at Riversdale. And also one of the other things that they're working on is eradicating the kikuyu grass from their roughs. Now this is a challenging process. Kikuyu is it's a very, very tough grass. Probably the toughest grass that there is, if I'm being brutally honest. The speed and growth and strength of kikuyu is just astonishing. So it's a really big challenge to try and remove kikuyu, but they're going about it. They're getting out there, and once the kike has all been treated, they will be oversowing these areas of rough with fine leaf ryegrass. Now, this is an interesting decision here for mine, and something that will be worth following, as ryegrass gives a very lush green look to anywhere that it's put down and grown in, and to have a lush green look in the rough during the cooler months of the year is going to be a real standout for what I would think here at Riversdale. So interesting to see some of the things that are happening there at Riversdale, and one that we'll certainly keep following, and I'll keep you updated on. Now, the Victorian Open, ladies and gentlemen, was played last month at 13th Beach Golf Club down in the Bellarine Peninsula on the western side of Port Phillip Bay. And the Victorian Open, you may or may not know, is a combined event where both the men and women play at the same time. Now, unlike the WebEx Players Series, where in the WebEx they're playing for the same prize, the Victorian Open is separate. So it's men and women competing individually for their own events, but they're played at the same time. So it's a little bit like, this is kind of the model that they used for the Australian Open, where they combine the men's and women's. So this was already happening. It's been happening for a number of years now. And look, down at 13th Beach, fantastic golf facility is 13th Beach with 2 golf courses there. And look, it was a pretty intense final round. Wild weather. Absolutely wild weather with seriously strong winds had them on the last day. And the women's title was won by the sensational Sue O, and the men's title was claimed by Josh Geary. So congratulations to to both Sue and Josh on their wins on a very, very challenging final day at the Vic Open. We go to Tasmania, ladies and gentlemen. I've heard on pretty good authority about Arm End, the fantastic Arm End project that has probably been playing second fiddle to 7 Mile Beach, because Arm End's sort of been a slow goer, if you like. It's had a number of go slows in its recent history, but I've heard that they are soon to commence the next lot of work for their water pipeline in getting it to the golf course site. Now, that's been one of the sticking points for this project, and the reasons why it's sort of been a stop-start. But as I mentioned, I've got it on good authority that Arm End is still moving forward, and the work on the course is planned to commence later this year, which I'm sure some of you may have heard as well. So they're still go for the plan. They're still moving forward, and I'm going to hopefully be able to get some, stay on the inside information here and keep you informed about how this one goes along. But I'm really pleased to hear that the project at Arm End is still moving forward. And don't forget, it's the design for the golf course has been done by OCM as well. So Ogilvy, Cocking and Mead, great, incredible Australian design and architecture firm that are doing the golf course design here at Arm End. So really good to hear, and I'll, like I mentioned, I'll keep you posted. Now, the incredible 7 Mile Beach, Matt Goggins' baby as I call it, has just announced recently that they're having preview play of the golf course available from the end of April or thereabouts, and it's running for about 4 to 5 weeks. Look, it's that basically makes it for more or less the month of May. It's going to be something around like a 14-hole loop that you'll be able to play, and very limited people per day. Details are still to come about how you can book a tee time for this preview play, but I expect that it's going to be challenging, and because just about every man and his dog wants to get a chance at seeing how good this golf course is and what it's going to play like and what the site's like. If you haven't been there, we've all seen the photos. I was lucky enough to go there in November last year and have a good look around and see what it's all about and be taken and shown around by Anthony Toogood on site, getting the golf course ready for play. And look, this is an exciting announcement and something that everyone's been waiting for. We've been hanging on bated breath about this. And look, like I said, fantastic announcement. It's going to be hard to get in, no doubt. But for those of you who do get in, I look forward to hearing a lot about what your thoughts are on the golf course. Going to be pretty impressive to play it, that's for sure. Into South Australia, ladies and gentlemen, and Live Golf Adelaide. Look, I have to just mention it. I have to let you know, I've got an entire podcast coming about my Live Golf Adelaide experience where I went down on the Sunday, so stay tuned for that. I'll keep you updated. That's going to be a dedicated podcast episode. So, but just wanted to let you know that, what a great event. Record crowds, over 102,000 and something people there over the few days, and it was just another level again. It was congratulations to everyone involved, and obviously a big congratulations to Superintendent Rowan Damon, the entire team, and the team of volunteers that were there as well to help out on the golf course. A lot of work done. It came across so well on television. It was an incredible event there, an incredible event on TV, and it is everything that you think it is and more. So I say to everyone, when it's on next year, make sure you get down and make the effort to go. Just an outstanding event on so many fronts. But I won't tell you much more because I've got an entire dedicated podcast to it, which is probably what you need. So stay tuned and I'll let you know more about when that's coming out. I will mention Glenelg Golf Club though, of course, because if you saw my social media trip that I went down to Adelaide, I got a chance to stop in at Glenelg Golf Club to see how that golf course was going. And it is becoming something very, very special indeed. Now, thanks to golf course architect Ryan van der Veen, who is working down there as part of the design and build. Ryan's working in conjunction with Neil Crafter from Crafter Mogford as well, and Bob Toohey, who's involved as well in the design. Between these three parties, what's being done on the ground at Glenelg is very, very special, I've got to tell you. And Ryan was fantastic. Showed me around. It was before Live. I got down there straight off the plane, straight to Glenelg. And Ryan showed me around the new work that he's going through and what's being built on the 8th and 9th holes. And then he took me around some of the rest of the golf course and some of the other areas that have been done that have recently been finished. And I've got to tell you, often talked about Glenelg as the little brother in Adelaide of the other golf courses being Royal Adelaide, Grange, and Kooyonga. And people often say, and then there's Glenelg. I've got to tell you, probably because of that and the way that this has been done and the people involved in Ryan, in Neil Crafter and Bob Toohey, the ideas and the things that Ryan was showing to me and some of the ideas that he's brought to this project as well, which we know because he's been there since the early days of the project, some of the stuff that's being brought in and put on the ground is just fantastic. Some things I've never seen before in Australia. And they're really cool concepts. Some of we call them railway sleepers. In the US, they call them railroad ties. The sleepers that are being used around the bunkers, around the greens, around some areas of the tees, like the bunker styling and the hybrid style bunkers that Ryan showed me, and the way that they're using some of the synthetic turf edging and sleepers, and oh my God, it's just fantastic and equally out of this world. When this opens, their plan is, all things being equal, is my understanding, by the end of 2025, the course will be finished. And when it is, you just need to go and try and get a way to play golf there. This is being done. This golf course is going to offer so many things that just aren't anywhere else in the way that the design, and I don't know if quirk's the right word, but I'm a fan of quirk in architecture, and the 12th is just got one of the most incredible greens I've ever seen in my life. Some of the stuff that Ryan was showing me that's built in the fairway bunkers on the left of 9, and the way that they've managed to hide the roadway, which is beside the hole, and just your approach to the green, and all the things that they've done in the design, it's gonna then convert to the way that you play the hole, you feel the hole, you imagine the hole, you imagine your shots, you think about what's next. This is really cool, and I don't know if I've got enough superlatives to describe just how cool the design at Glenelg is, and it's going to be. So a shout out to Ryan, and one for you guys, ladies and gentlemen, to keep in your mind, because Glenelg is just... it's going to be something else when it's finished. And I hope the membership are very, very proud of what they've got, because I want it to be down the road from where I live, and I want to be a member. It's just incredible. So I'll try and share some more photos that I took when I was down there, and Ryan showed me around Glenelg. But it's just outstanding, ladies and gentlemen, just outstanding. Now, one of the other things that was great to see from Glenelg is they also had some spare turf left over from one of their new projects, and instead of throwing the turf away for the greens, instead of throwing away, they sort of did a bit of a buddy up. They did a call out to see if there were any other golf clubs locally that in Adelaide that might have been able to use the turf instead of just torching it. And Mawson Lakes Golf Club was able to take that turf and use it, and as a result of that greens turf, Mawson Lakes were able to rebuild their putting green, rebuild their 5th green, and also repair some areas on their 4th green. And this is a great way to share the love between golf clubs, with big metro courses helping out the smaller suburban clubs, or in some instances also regional clubs. I remember here in Sydney when Kalara Golf Club was going through their rebuild, their green surfaces ended up going out to Branxton. Some of the turf went to Branxton Golf Club up in the Hunter Valley, and this is great to hear, great to see, great recycling, and great use of quality turf as well. So congratulations to Glenelg and Mawson Lakes on pairing up to get this job sorted, and essentially donate the turf to a smaller club that could really use it. So well done to all involved. Now we head into Western Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, it's so good to have people from different golf courses around Australia popping on the podcast on this Walking the Fairways to give us an update in person about what's going on deep in the golf courses around the country. So I have on the line, we're going all the way over to the other side of the country into Royal Perth Golf Club. Welcome along, Superintendent Pat Casey. G'day, mate. How you doing?
G'day, Steve. Going good. Thanks, mate. Hello to the listeners.
Hello to everyone listening. We've put a voice to the name because it's been a while since you've been on, mate. Obviously, you're back in Kalgoorlie days. Now you're at Royal Perth. Big move.
Yeah, it's been a good move, positive move for myself personally and professionally. I think it's been here 2 years now.
Great stuff.
I actually can't remember when we did the Kalgoorlie podcast.
It's 2023. I'm I'll just say 2 years ago. It was before you were at Royal Perth, so I don't even. Actually, you know what? It might have been 2022. Now that we're here in 2025, so
I think.
there you go, mate. It was good fun, but a different world over in Perth in the Big Smoke than dealing with desert golf. Although you've got plenty of sand on site at Royal Perth, mate. You were kind enough to show me around when I went there last year, and just prior to you guys on course commencing the works for your rebuild that's being designed by CDP, Clayton Devries Pont and Kruse Golf. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, they've teamed up together to come up with a master plan. And they've got Lucas Michelle working with them as well as their shaper and
that's right.
Drawing sort of stuff as well. So
yes, and he's been there on site, mate. So you showed me around the course. I got an idea about Perth. Lots of sand underneath you there. You're on just right across the road, the highway from the Swan River. It's a beautiful location. Small golf course compared to what you had at Cal, and now this big redo. It's a reimagining, if you were, of the green sites, and not so much the whole routings. Is that right? But mostly the green complexes and the like.
Yep, we were hoping to do some rerouting as well in stages 2 and 3.
Okay.
Stage 2 will start June this year.
Yep.
Not so much rerouting this year. We're just going to our chipping green will be practice chipping green will become a 13th green, and we're going to put a tee on the other side of the current 13th green now as well. So not so much some rerouting. We've got a fair bit of approval process to go through to get stage 3 across the line. We're on Crown land and we lease our land, so we've got to go through the Department of Planning to get some approval stuff there and get some tree removals and moving into a maintenance road comes in to the middle of the golf course. We want to move that as well. So there's a fair bit of red tape to cross before we get to that stage. So.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. But stage 1, this is the exciting part. This is what I wanted you to be able to update all the listeners about. Stage 1 is now complete, and you've done, 5 green complexes? Just run through us a little bit of where the work's been happening on course.
Yep, so we've done 5 green complexes and adjoining tees. We haven't touched fairways or anything like that just yet. So the idea is greens are old and tired and we needed to replace them. So for us to do as much as we could without getting the approvals from the authorities and all that sort of stuff, we did what we could without having to get that approval. So we just did green complexes and adjoining tees for the first stage, and it'll be something similar but a bit more extensive works for stage 2 as well. So
okay, great. Which holes have you done, mate?
1, 2, 3, 4, and 16 green.
Okay.
Green tee. So
and how has that gone in terms of rough timeframes when it was started the works to you just opened a couple of weeks ago? You were telling me.
Yeah, Friday last week, which is the 31st of January. So, so we started in the last week of June, and did some quite extensive construction works to those areas, and then we had a few issues, like every project. We actually had a lot of issues, to be honest with you. The City of South Perth disagreed with what we thought the way our lease read. So we had a cease and desist for a couple of weeks, so that slowed us down. And then we also had some issues with turf as well. So we ordered 1.2 hectares of Santrana for our green surrounds.
Right.
And then our turf farm that we got off had an issue or an incident.
Okay.
And killed a hectare of it. So
hang on, did you say you ordered 1.2 and 1 hectare was out?
Yep.
Okay, that's a problem. And these are things, right? Some things do happen in the process. Unfortunately, I mean that's a big hiccup. But projects have hiccups.
Yeah, I know, but I sort of feel like I get the worst of it from the other people. I'd probably be the most unluckiest person in Australia. But so we had a few issues. And at the same time, Mount Lawley are doing a project, probably a bit more extensive to what we're doing. And, they've got Santrana there. There's 3 turf farms in WA that have supply Santrana. There's a smaller guy, Tony, and then there's West Coast Turf and Carabuta. It's not like I go to the next turf farm and say, hey, can I get a hectare off you?
Yeah, fair enough.
It wasn't right. So West Coast didn't have any at the time of us needing it because all theirs was committed to Mount Lawley. Thankfully, we got a fair bit off them in December.
Yep.
So we're laying turf, 2 weeks out from Christmas, we put 6,000 squares of turf down.
Wow.
In 36, 37 degree heat.
You guys tend to get that's your low normal.
I know, but for some reason it just felt hotter than normal.
Of course it did. You've had troubles getting the turf and sourcing it, and then all of a sudden you're putting it down. Feels like it's going to be 50 non-stop.
Exactly. So, no. So we got it all down, and then so it took a month to grow it all in, and opened last week. So
fantastic, mate. And in terms of, can I ask you about your greens? The Pure Distinction.
Yep, Pure Distinction. Yep. So I had to sort of rush a trial we did on our chipping green.
You showed me that when I was there. Yes.
Yep. So we trialled Pure Distinction, 007XL, 777, and Oakley, and all 4 of them are good. We went with Pure Distinction, I think mainly just because it putted the best.
Okay.
We only had 6 months to do this trial. It sort of wasn't expecting to start the works last year. I sort of come back from the Adelaide conference and had a committee meeting the week after and got told, let's get into it as soon as possible. So it's been a bit rushed and sort of a bit of a whirlwind really last 12, 18 months. But, I'd only been working here for 6 months and started planning a complete rebuild. But, sucker for punishment. I think.
Frying pan fire, mate. That's
yeah. So, but anyway, so we sort of taken it in our stride and do what we can. But, then we had a change of committees, and then new green chairman was nervous about digging up the chipping green, and so that sort of slowed me down a couple of months. But anyway, we got it seeded and we trialled them, and I did a questionnaire for some members, and we're fortunate enough to have some pretty good golfing members here. So we've got Brett Rumford and Peter Bennett, played Australian amateur side or whatever, senior side. So we got them to fill out a questionnaire. Our club captain, Christy Jones was working here as well, Christy Smith, the ex-pro golfer. So I got her to fill out a questionnaire as well and give each one a rating. And I didn't tell anyone what the plots were. Only myself and the apprentice, Kai, knew which one was which. It was pretty much unanimous. Everyone selected the Pure Distinction. So even my 2IC and 3IC at the time, I didn't tell them what plot was what for about 6 months.
That's interesting. You managed to do well keeping that under wraps.
Yeah, so I ran a Christmas competition at the end of the year, and everyone had to guess, and no one guessed it right. So the apprentice, he got to keep the prize. It was a bottle of wine or something like that. So so everyone it was pretty close, but most people got 2 of them right, but not all 4. So so I managed to, and even those 2 picked the Pure Distinction as well from an agronomy point of view as well. We had 0 disease in it through that 6 months, and it grew really well. And so it was pretty unanimous. So we picked Pure Distinction, and with opening last week, 14, 15, 16 weeks past seeding, we sort of. We didn't seed them all at the same time, the greens, and I'm pretty happy with them. We've got roots at the bottom of the hole changer.
Wow.
The surface is really good.
That's unreal.
So far, 3 or 4 months in, we're pretty happy with the decisions.
Sensational.
From my point of view. Yeah.
How, I'm going to ask you, mate, it sounds, that's a very good way of getting feedback in terms of, from a golf perspective, not an agronomic perspective, from a golf perspective. And I don't know how many people do something like that, but I think that's really impressive. How important is it from your side of things and from your own standpoint to do a trial and get a feel from an agronomic perspective, but also the golf one that you did as well, to get a feel for which is the right grass type for the course side?
Oh, it's I don't know how it is. Yeah, you have to. It's a must do, right? I did some stuff in Kalgoorlie, and the Pure Distinction struggled. But for here in at Royal Perth, the Pure Distinction thrives. We've got a better water quality here. Maybe that's got something to do with it. But I think, and every site's different. Des over at Cottesloe is using 777 and loves it and can't speak highly enough of it.
Yep.
Whereas it was probably ranked 4th in my book out of the 4 that we trialled over here. So with some disease issues and thatch issues, it was quite aggressive. And but once again, it's a good grass, and I think you just got to manage your practices to whatever you choose, really. But for me, the feedback from the members and they're the ones that discuss it amongst themselves. And if I went with something different to what they wanted and things weren't looking so good or playing well, it might be the end of my career. So
for sure. I let
them drop. Ultimately, it was my decision. I'm the one that's got to work with it, but their feedback was quite important to me as well.
The main reason I ask is it's a lot of I hear a lot of the higher profile golf clubs taking the time and effort to do a trial. Well, but it doesn't need to be a huge trial. But I hear some of the smaller clubs, they kind of just go, oh, I've heard that one's good down the road or 15 minutes away. Like you from Cottesloe. It's what, 15, 20-minute drive west?
Yeah.
Right? Yep. And I hear other smaller clubs that probably feel they don't have the ability to. They need to make the time and effort, because this is exactly why. Because you can be 15 minutes away by car and get a different result for lots of different reasons. And I hear clubs go, well, I heard that was good down the road, so we're going to go there. And sometimes being able to take an extra 6 months or a year in doing those trials will yield you a massive difference in the outcome, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%, yes. Ideally, if you can spend 18 months doing some trial work, it's only going, the longer you've got, the better, I think, for sure. And I think getting members involved in decision-making actually adds a bit of excitement and, positivity around the club as well. That was good for us. And they're all talking about it. And because I do a weekly update in our members' bulletin, and, you touch on that every now and then, and none of them knew which one was which, but they're all discussing which one they thought was what, and they go and play pennants at Yokine or Royal Freo, and they've got pure distinction there, or they go to Mount Lawley at 007 and Cottesloe 777, and then Lake Karnup with 007. They're sort of all comparing their grasses and saying which one they think's the best and all that sort of stuff as well. So it was actually quite a positive thing for us to do, and got everyone involved in it. So
sensational, mate. Great to hear. Look, it's great to hear that the courses, the works are going well. You've got them down. It's open. People are excited. The membership's excited to see them, and the club has now got this plan moving forward. Like you said, there's a little bit more work in getting the approvals to go through stages 2 and 3. Is there any idea of timeframes of when you're hoping that stuff might work, all things being equal?
Yep. So stage 2 is locked in. We're going to start that second week of June. This year, so that's all locked in. We're going to do 7 greens in total.
Awesome.
So that's 6 in play, and then a big, massive practice putting green and chipping green combined.
Wow.
2,000 squares roughly. So we're doing all the northern end of the course this year. That's all locked in.
Okay. That's at the clubhouse end, is that right?
Yeah, clubhouse end.
Yep.
So
unreal.
Yeah. So we've got Lucas on site, I think. Oh no, I've got the strippers coming in. So I've got some civil guys that are members. They're going to come in and start stripping.
We're talking about people stripping the golf course here, people, just in case anyone's heads are going somewhere else.
I call them strippers, and people look at me funny, but it's each their own, I suppose. I'm probably a bit of a bogan and don't speak good English, but anyway.
Like the rest of us, mate, we're all cut from the same cloth, mate. It's all good.
Yeah. So they're starting. So the process. We'll dig a berry pit somewhere on site. We'll mine the fresh sand, because we do have some amazing sand here to build a golf course out of.
Yep.
And then we'll bury all of our thatch and our kayak and bent and power and whatever rubbish we've got on top. We'll strip to about 150 mil. And that'll get us to bare sand, and then we'll bury that, and that'll become a wasteland or a native heath area, and then it will build our greens and tees out of what we mined, and go from there.
Fantastic. Great to be able to do it all on site, right? Don't need to worry about bringing anything in, and it's all the local sand that's there. You're just rebuilding it, reconstituting it back up to the top.
Yeah, exactly. So, got some really good sand. A little bit nervous about this year's berry pit, where we think we're going to put it. Last year we had 2 really good ones, I suppose. I say good because they're about 5 or 6 metres deep. They were big. But then we got down to the bottom of the course by the 5th tee, and we thought we'd have a good spot there. We got a metre deep before we hit groundwater. So
yeah, right.
So we're close to the river, like you said. So the bottom of the course, we can't get that deep. But
okay.
The top of the course, we can get real deep, as deep as the excavator will go, I suppose. So,
Yep. Very good. Well, Pat, mate, I wish you well in stage 2. Look forward to following. Please give us a couple of photos, mate, so we can share on socials. And it's really interesting to hear straight from you, straight into what's going on and how it's all playing out. So, mate, I really appreciate that insight to everyone listening. And good luck with stage 2, mate. We'll look forward to seeing it all unfold. Thank you, Pat Casey, Superintendent of Royal Perth.
No worries. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me. Hopefully it rains soon.
Cheers, mate. Now, ladies and gentlemen, while we're in Perth, of course, I've got to mention Mount Lawley, and it's officially now open for play. The membership were able to get out there and enjoy the opening round of the entire golf course, all completed, all finished. And congratulations once again to everyone involved, including the design firm OCM for an incredible lot of design work that was done. Again, just making Mount Lawley just super cool. There's lots of coolness in Mount Lawley, and very impressive to see on the ground. So congratulations also to Rod Tatt, Superintendent, and his team on course for the grow-in and what they've managed to deliver for the membership, and anyone who gets an opportunity to play there as a guest or a visitor is fantastic. So Mount Lawley, congratulations for opening up your entire new golf course to your membership. Now, Wanneroo Golf Club, their new 16th green is now open and in play. That's recently been finished and grown in, and finally now open for play. So congratulations to the club for upgrading this particular green. And look, for some of the smaller clubs, some of the smaller suburban clubs, it can't do a full rebuild like a Mount Lawley or a Glenelg or anything like that. It just keep ticking through when they get the ability to do so. And it's great to see here at a club like Wanneroo where they're able to move through a green construction rebuild and deliver something that they can improve on, and just improve on some of those problem areas around the golf course. And obviously 16th green was something that they wanted to improve on what they had. And now it's finally open for play, and congratulations. Now, a whole lot of work's been done at Nedlands Golf Club in Perth, and I've got to say congratulations to Superintendent Brad Hebel and what they've recently done. They've finally, again, like Mount Lawley, they've opened up their golf course for play, with the new greens all being finished and now open to their membership for play, which only just recently happened a couple of days ago. Now, I mentioned in the last Walking the Fairways that at the end of last year, they were embarking on rebuilding their greens with 007 XL bent grass. So you hear me talk about different varieties and different strains of bent. If you're not sure, like I've mentioned, Pure Distinction, 007, 777, MacKenzie, Oakley, there's just so many different types of bent grass. And if I can put it in a way, ladies and gentlemen, that you might know, if you're not big on the turf stuff, but you're here to listen to the golf and which clubs are improving and which ones are getting better and what clubs are up to. When I talk about bent grass varieties, or talk about couch grass varieties, we talk about fescue grass varieties, just so you understand it, think of it like apples at a grocery store. Think of it going to the red apple section of your grocery store, and you've got Fuji apples, you've got pink ladies, you've got raw Gali, you've got Jazz, so they're all apples, right? And they're all red apples, but they're all slightly different takes of what a red apple is. They're a different variety of red apple. Some are a little bit sweeter than others. Some are a little bit bigger than others. Some are a little bit smaller than others. Some of them have a slightly different taste, or a different taste in their skins, a different taste in the flesh. So these are the things, different colours, slightly different, some more red, less pale, and all different things. So when we talk about different grass varieties, we might be talking about all bent grass, in the different ones being Pure Distinction, 007, 777, like I mentioned, MacKenzie, and so on. But they're all bent grasses. So when you go to the grocery store, the supermarket, and you see red apples, someone says, go and get me a red apple. And you go, well, hang on, which red apple do I want? And there's all those different types. So I want you to think about it like that. It's the same for grasses. If we talk about a different type of couch grass, you'll hear me talk about, obviously, Santa Ana couch, or sometimes there's wintergreen or Windsor green, or I'll mention South African couch. So there's a lot of different varieties of couch grass and a lot of different varieties of bent grass. And that's the difference. It's like apples. So kind of think of them like that if you can, just to give you a bit of an idea. So 007 XL bent grass is what went down at Nedlands in Perth, and lots of work has been involved there with this project in recent times, and the proof is in the pudding here with the fantastic new putting surfaces now open for play to their membership, and I know that everyone over there is excited to see it now and finally open for play. So congratulations to Brad Hebel and everyone involved. Now we go to Hartfield Golf Club. And they've got a new first tee that they've recently been rebuilding. And look, Hartfield's an 18-hole golf facility located in the eastern suburbs of Perth, not too far from the airport. And they've had an opportunity to rebuild their first tee, make it a little bit better, new turf down, level, slightly bigger, all those sorts of things. And again, it's good to see some of the smaller golf clubs around that aren't going through an entire rebuild to still keep ticking things off as they move along. So congratulations to Hartfield and the work that they've done there on their first tee. And likewise, we jump down the south of Perth into Busselton, and a congratulations to Superintendent Lance Knox and his team for their work on the opening of their newly rebuilt 6th hole. 12 weeks in the making, ladies and gentlemen, for a new green, and that's what's happened down here at Busselton Golf Club with their the 6th hole being rebuilt and green and bunkers and so on around this particular hole being done. It's a great project that's completed by Lance and his team and the golf club, and they continue to move through their golf course piece at a time, not one big giant project over a couple of years, but a club like Busselton is showing you how they can keep. They've got a full plan of doing and moving through one at a time parts of their golf course to lift the bar. And they've lifted the bar very, very well, in my opinion, at Busselton Golf Club, and they're lifting it higher every time they finish one of these projects. If you're ever over in WA and you're heading down south from Perth towards Busselton and the Margaret River region, make sure you stop in for a round at Busselton Golf Club and say g'day to Lance Knox for me, because Lance is a fantastic individual and I've had him on the podcast before in my Keeper of the Green segment. So you can go back and find that. But Busselton ticking off another project with their newly rebuilt 6th hole. Now, I have to give you an update, ladies and gentlemen, on Nigel Taylor, who is doing his Everest Challenge, cycling challenge for mental health, raising awareness for mental health in the greenkeeping industry. And let me flick through my phone here because, Nigel has recently just finished his 2nd Everest Challenge. Now, in case you missed the first one where I mentioned it at the end of January, ladies and gentlemen, Nigel is on a quest to do 12 Everest challenges. Now, that is to cycle, for him, it's to cycle up the elevation of Mount Everest. So he's going to find a hill in different parts of around the region where he lives over there in Asia, and he's going to find a hill. He's an expat Aussie, so we know lots of people that are listening to this know of Nigel, and this is an incredible thing that he is doing. Just astonishing that he's going to do this. And he's just ticked off. So congratulations to Nigel. He's just ticked off his 2nd Everest Challenge yesterday, which makes it's the start of March. And he did this because he did one earlier in February for his 2nd one, and his computing equipment that monitors his speed and distance and elevation actually broke. And he's got 2 of them, and it busted during the progress, and he was something like 9/10 or 3/4 of the way through the challenge, and everything went kaput, and he had no idea when he was going to finish or do the challenge. So unfortunately, that was incredibly heartbreaking for him to go through all that effort on the 2nd one a couple of weeks ago in February, and this is a makeup, and he has literally, in the last couple of hours, and I just got a text message only a few minutes ago, that he's just finished it today, over the last, I think it was something like 17 or 18 hours, it might even be longer, of cycling, to reach the elevation of 8,000 and something meters, to reach the height of Mount Everest in elevation. Now, this is incredible. He does something like, 20 hours of cycling to do this. And this is all raising awareness for mental health in the greenkeeping industry. So get out there and follow Nigel, ladies and gentlemen. I'll have clickables in the show notes for Nigel, along with lots of other things that I've talked about in this episode today. And I just, every time Nigel tells me, and we had a chat a couple of weeks on the phone after his heartbreaking experience where everything just clapped out and he couldn't finish because he didn't know where he was at. So this time he's become more prepared, got a few more things sorted and ready, done a little bit more homework to see that there's not going to be another failure in the equipment that's basically strapped to him and strapped to his bike to know how far he's gone and how high he's gone. But this is a hill climb that he's got to do over and over and over and over and over until he reaches the elevation of 8,000 and something meters, which is just staggering. So my hat is off to you again, Nigel. You've completed your 2nd one of 12, mate, and I think you're probably only going to do another couple of weeks before you turn around and do it again, I dare say, for the 3rd one for the month of March. So, ladies and gentlemen, get over to Nigel's pages, follow the clickables in the show notes, or I can let you know here on social media. His page is, he's calling it the Dirty Dozen, and it's the Dirty Dozen .12. So the Dirty Dozen in words, then dot and 12 is his Instagram handle on his Instagram social media page. And look, incredibly impressive what Nigel is up to. Yeah, I just hats off to him for all the hard work that he's doing. And this is him going out there, putting himself out there to raise awareness for mental health in our industry. So I'd love you to get behind Nigel, go out and follow him, go out, support him, comments, and let him know that you're there following and supporting him in this challenge. But this is incredible what he's doing to raise awareness off his own bat for mental health over the year of 2025. Just staggering. So congratulations, mate, and well done. We're all following you and we're all cheering you on for this epic quest. And it's, you know what, this is all about so we can think about and talk about our mental health challenges in our industry and try and look after ourselves better and support each other more. And Nigel is out there doing this so that he's raising awareness for us to sit here and talk about it. So if you've got mental health challenges, get out there and seek some help. Find some support around you. Let's support each other in the industry about the challenges that we do go through from time to time in our lives. That's what this is all about, ladies and gentlemen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap-up for Walking the Fairways to start off with for the month of March. Now, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, to reach out to me on socials or thegolfinggreenkeeper@gmail.com if you or your club want to share what you're up to and how you're improving your golf course, no matter where you are in the country of Australia. Small club, big club, it doesn't matter. I want to hear it all. I do my research in all the ways that I can. I talk to lots of people and I'm trying to find out info to share with you what's going on, to share with the golfers of this country of ours what's going on and who's improving, how we're getting out there and improving our golf courses so we can all have better golf experiences as we continue to maintain the courses as best we can and the clubs. So go out there and support all the clubs you're hearing about here, ladies and gentlemen, which is they're trying to do better. But I want to keep you informed as to what's happening around the country. So if you've got news to tell me about your club or somewhere that you know is doing work, like I said, send me a message on socials or get in touch with me on email at thegolfinggreenkeeper@gmail.com. I'm here to share how you're improving and what you're doing to make your course better for all the golfers out there that enjoy playing golf. So please get in touch with me if you want to share some news. Now, I've got to thank both partners, Dint Golf Solutions and Colin Campbell Chemicals, new partners involved on Walking the Fairways. Thank you very much to these two companies for getting involved and supporting me on the podcast, and that's how they're supporting you out there in the industry. And I've got to make them known. But of course, there's some cool things about being partnered with very cool companies, and that is, I'm going to start off with Dint Golf Solutions. Now, they wanted me to pass on to you. Adam said to me to let you know that about their footy tipping comp that's available online. So you can go to their website at dint.com.au, that's dint.com.au, because they've got footy tipping comps for both AFL and NRL. Now, they're in the closing stages before the comps start, so get over to their website. Thanks to Adam and Dint for putting this one on. They've done it for the last few years, and Adam said to me, just make sure I got it out to you guys. Who doesn't love a footy tipping comp? Go to their website, register. It's free to register, and there's plenty of prizes on offer. I think there's over $1,000 of prizes on offer of each of these comps, the AFL and the NRL competition. So it's clubs versus clubs, ladies and gentlemen. So get out there, register your team, and get your footy tips in over at Dint Golf Solutions for their online footy tipping competitions. Now, also, as I mentioned, thanks to partners Colin Campbell Chemicals, and Nadeem has also asked me to mention to you not to forget to check out their Behind the Turf podcast and all their plant protection products that are available on their website to you at campbellchemicals.com.au. That's Campbell, CAMPBELL, Chemicals, CHEMICALS.com.au. And the podcast Behind the Turf, look, I can vouch for it. It's fantastic because I also helped Nadeem with that one and help him put it together and get it out there for you. He's got some great resources in that one, ladies and gentlemen, and he does some sensational interviews with experts right around the world, actually. So get over there and check it out. But thank you very much to Dint Golf Solutions and Colin Campbell Chemicals for supporting me on the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast in the Walking the Fairways segment so I can continue to get around and get more information and let you know more about what's going on around golf courses right around the country. I'll leave you with it, ladies and gentlemen, until next week for another episode of Keeper of the Greens. You hit 'em clean, we'll keep 'em green, and I'll catch up with you next week.